Howdy everyone, Leslie Hassler with Your Biz Rules Business Coaching. Here, coaching in the carpool. I can get it out, I promise. It is Monday. Monday in the great state of Texas, which means it's also May and it's getting warmer. So if you start seeing the AC like blowing my hair, know that I'm not trying to go for special effects, but it's just starting to get hot out there. So we gotta stay cool however we can. So I hope you're joining in. If you are, like, share, subscribe to this coaching series. Really try to do it every afternoon around 2:30, 2:45 when I get into the carpool. Because, you know, if you've heard before, I was challenged to message every day. And I was having a hard time with that because no 2 days in my world really look alike. And I'm not always ready to do something like that at 10 or 8 in the morning. So I thought, when can I do it? When I'm waiting in the carpool, because we don't have buses. So that's when I'll do it, Monday through Friday. Now I got to figure out what to do during the summertime. So I don't know. We'll have a carpool, but in a different way. So it's not the same. So we'll have to figure that out. But that's okay. We have some time to figure that out, don't we? So today is the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Kind of episode, if you will, from The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy and her allies are walking down the yellow brick road. You're like, what, Leslie? I thought you talked about business. Well, I have a reason for this, okay? I find there's a couple of things, and I'll start off first when I first started off in business, okay? So that's 10 years ago, last Sunday. It's an anniversary. We'll have to celebrate tomorrow. 10 years ago, last Sunday, really was the birth of my first business. And I'm a conscious person. I have good work ethics. I'm an honest person. I try to do good by everybody that I surround. And I found that I was just scared to bejeebus. I was scared of making mistakes. I was scared of failing. I was scared of succeeding. I was scared of so many things, and there were lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, I mean, the fear in my belly was so palatable. I remember I was kind of working with another designer at that time, working on my licensing for being in interior design, growing my business part-time, and I walked in and I said, when does it stop? Like, when do I stop being so scared? And this is a completely new experience for me because I'm pretty much a confident person. So I didn't know how to handle this fear of everything in my business. And Kathy, who I was talking to, looked at me and she was like, yeah, you're 5. And I will say it took a lot of almost all those years to really get the fear to subside, or maybe the fear doesn't subside, right? It just, you're better able to handle it. You know what to do with it. And I think that's kind of this lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! I might have to sing that the whole time on this show, that I wanted to talk to you about, because it might not be lions and tigers and bears, but it's clients and bills and money. Oh my, you know, there's always something there that can scare the bejeebus out of you. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this. The fear is completely normal. And I think the fear comes not always from a lack of self-confidence. I think the fear sometimes comes from not knowing what you don't know, you know, or knowing too much, you know, kind of the two ends of the spectrum. And I think in most business owners, what I see is there's such a desire to do good, you know, to do good work, to have a good business, to have a good income, to show our spouses and our friends and our families who we've talked about this business over and over again that it was worth the risk, right? That's where I think the fear comes by. And a lot of times we put that fear, we get this emotional construct going with cash in our business, you know, and I'm all about money and making money, and I want you to make a lot of money in your business because I want you to have the freedom and the choice and the joy to do more good work to impact people's lives. And true impact on the world comes from wealth. And so I'm all about that. You got that right. But there's also this relationship with money about it showing us or telling us that we've done a good job that I think people get a little misconstrued. And part of the reason why we get a little misconstrued is, believe it or not, you probably have fallen into the if you build it, they will come trap. It's one of the traps, okay, on this entrepreneurial journey, is that you have a great idea. You think it's great. Everybody around you's told you how great it was. You hang your shingle and then you hear crickets. Nobody's calling. Why aren't they coming, right? It's not that easy, right? It's simple, but it's not that easy. We have so many messages nowadays, so many things being pushed from a content perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective to us as humans, that if you wait for people to come, you're going to be waiting a really long time. Okay? So that's like number one trap. We fall into this if you build it, they will come type of mantra. Number two, I think, my husband, God love him. He, I could laugh at this. He, in the early part of our marriage, and we just celebrated 17 years together. So we've been together for a while, probably closer to 20 total, but been married for 17 years. And I think he spent the first half of our marriage trying to teach me patience. Yeah. I actually am a tremendously patient person. My brain just operates at a different speed. Okay, if you've met my children, I'm actually very patient, right? But there's something about patience in business that doesn't seem to always land or connect, okay? And here's what patience looks like in a business. Patience looks like in a business that if you try a marketing strategy once and it doesn't work, that you actually maybe try it again in a different way and try to improve on it. Patience in a business means that when you try a strategy, you don't expect it to be like a walking in and turning on light switches. Honest to gosh, if I could have a control panel with light switches, all right, that said magical team, magical clients, magical marketing, magical money, I'd flip it on for every person there was. It's not that easy, okay? But somewhere along the realm, I don't know if it's because we see these great stories and they seem like overnight successes, at least that's how they're portrayed in the media. We don't understand the amount of time that it actually took to get to that level of a success. So when we hear the media spouting, oh, it's overnight, oh, this person such and such, blah, 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 we fail to realize the failures they had that led them to this success, because that's really what business is. The time, the effort, the money that they invested. Probably the number one thing that, it doesn't quite drive me nuts because I've been there myself, is when we adopt a saving mentality in business at the expense of investment in the future. I hope that made sense. So when we adopt a saving mentality in our business at the expense of investment in the future, business is a risk. It just is. Not every business is meant to be successful. Not every business is meant to get you to that dollar figure that you want to get to. Now, chances are there's some way, somehow that it can be done, and there's a land of opportunity. You just have to land on the right model. But just because you open a business doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. And I think there's that, it's part of it is that we see other people having instant success and we think we should have it. We are impatient and not willing to give things time to develop. I am impatient as the day is long when it comes to this. I have to take a deep breath and really go, how long has it been? How long has it been? How long has it been? Has it been a week, a 2 week, 3 weeks, 4 months? I think if it's been 3 years, probably need to look at doing something different. But you should start to see results from almost anything you do at 3 months. Okay, that's when you start to see the trickle. But that means you've had to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Like you're sick of it over for 3 months for the results to actually start to come in. So it's this kind of lack of patience, if you will, in business that I see from a lot of people. We're doing the right things, going out there doing the right things, definitely busy, but we don't land on anything long enough to have it stick. And I think that's, creates even more of the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, kind of discussion, because that's when you start having stories of, well, that didn't work, that was a waste of money, blah, 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 blah. We're just not giving things time to work, and it needs time to work. So I'll go on short-term, medium-term, long-term strategies at another day, but it's that patience, right? Patience. And keeping things, I think at the end of the day, is keeping things in perspective. When you are so focused on your business, like tremendously focused, I mean, you are pouring your heart, your soul, your energy, your being into this business because it has to work, you can get too close to the business. You really can. And I think one of the hardest things to learn as an entrepreneur is this personal disconnection of success in business to my value and worth as a human. Because, like we said, there's so much that can go wrong in a business, right? There's so much that can go wrong, but it's not a reflection per se on you. If you use those failures, in my book, if you use those failures to learn and to grow, to do something better the next time, then it had a cost, but at least there were some benefits. I just don't think there's some times in business where you can do all the right things and it just doesn't work. And it wasn't because you did something wrong or you're bad or you're not good at this type of thing. So there has to be this little bit of a personal separation. All right. Personal separation, some objectivity. If you're starting up, it took me a while. It's still not 100%. It takes a long time. 5-7 years. Enough to be in it, enough to see things start to repeat themselves and understand that this is a journey. It really is a journey, and a lot of the pitfalls, a lot of the distractions, a lot of the obstacles that we go through, be it marketing or sales or pricing or staffing or motivation and attitude or client management or project management, all those nice fun things, are things everyone goes through. It may not look exactly like you, but it's kind of like a cold. It goes around, all right? And it's not a lot of people... nobody's invincible to all of it, if you will. So we just have to put these things into perspective, do something about it. Danielle Laporte sent out her blog for the week, and I loved it. Deeper Positivity. And I will say that, well, I'm very hard on myself. I'm judgmental as the day is long for myself. I'm not really that judgmental for other people, on other people. I save it all for myself, which a lot of us do. But, so this is one of those judgment conversations I was having with myself, is because I get anxiety. I get depressed. I get disappointed. I get angry. I get all those really negative feelings, sometimes for no good reason. Okay? Like Sunday evenings, I get anxious. All right. It's kind of funny. And and then I start worrying about all the things that could go wrong. I have that brain, right? I have that brain. And I just really was thinking about it. And I was like, how is it that I try to teach positivity with my business owners? I try to use motivation and inspiration, all those things, to really help people manage the harder side, in some ways, of business, being what goes on between your head. And I still go through this crap. Well, Danielle's little blog talked about that. And it kind of put some things into framing for me. And it's not so much that I go through it. The fact that I go through it means I'm human. The fact that you go through something like that means you're human. What happens, if you think of, from a positivity standpoint and trying to stay positive and all that stuff, what really defines your skill level when it comes to that is what you do when all that negativity comes crashing down on you. Okay, what do you do with it? And I'm not going to get this quote right, and I should have written it out, but she was saying this concept of deeper positivity is what you do to pull yourself out. So I get stuck in the sand, quicksand, the muck, the mud, just as much as everybody else does, because I'm human. Because that's the way life is some days. But what do I do to bring myself out of it? How do I pull myself out of it? Some days that means I walk away from what I'm doing. I walk out of the office, I shut everything down, and I leave. Some days it means that I'm on YouTube looking at some of the videos that make me feel good. I love doing an Abraham Hicks morning rampage to, like, if I'm dealing with anxiety day to day, I do that every morning because it melts some of it away for me. And that's how I manage. I found the things that I can tune into. Sometimes it's kickboxing. I love it. Sometimes it's crazy ass songs on the radio, right? Where I can just scream and sing and just be a little crazy in my car. Sometimes it's meditation, conversations with God. I actually talk with God all day long. So it's funny when I don't consciously sit down and pray, and I'm like, but I've been talking to him all day long. But I do have to do some more intensive things. So I like doing soul journeys. To really, and I have a hard time doing them. I'm going to let you know, I have a hard time meditating. My brain starts right? And I think a lot of us have that issue, but sometimes it's just that process of meditating and going deeper and really start focusing on one question that I can hear the conversation better. Another thing I do is I count my blessings. I really do. I try to understand that today is nothing more than a blip in the universe. And what was yesterday? What was 2 weeks ago? What was I doing then? And I really count my blessings for what I have. Part of my coping skills is future planning. And I learned this as a little girl. It's how I handled my childhood, is I future planned, and one day this will change, and one day I won't have to worry about this, and one day this won't happen anymore, and one day. So some days I have to work harder at looking back and seeing where I've been, and that's what I do with gratitudes, and really just pouring into that. And I think you've got to decide what inventory you need to have. I have a daily devotional that I love, Our Daily Bread. It's really funny when my very Christ-centered stuff coincides with my very woo-woo stuff, and they're saying the same thing. Those are the days I have to listen extra hard. But, that's what I feed into myself. So it's really easy to get too busy. It's really easy to get too focused and too hammered and spiraled down, if you will, from a energetic level, from a motivation level, from a positivity level, from a really how you feel about yourself. You just have to give ways to spiral back up. So there will always be lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. There will always be something like that in business, right? And if you're a solopreneur, guess what? You're going to go through phases where you have no money, period. Okay, that's one of the problems of being a solopreneur. Unless you're really good at saving for rainy days, and most business owners aren't. 3 to 6 months, my little tidbit to you. 3 to 6 months of expenses so that you can weather those storms. Because really, cash in the bank helps you make clearer decisions. Just don't tie your self-worth to it. I wrote about this to my community, and I'll leave you with this last thing to do. If you're starting out anew, if you've got a new venture, if things aren't quite going the way that you thought they would in your business, you can give me a call. I can help with that. But if you're not ready for that, and that's okay, take out a sheet of paper and just write out, this is what would happen if I fail. And I want you to write out everything that would happen if you failed. And be reasonable, okay? This stuff ain't going to be on your tombstone. Your obituary is not going to say, she lost her business 4 times. She missed a payroll. It's not going to say any of this stuff, okay? So keep things in perspective, right? Fix the problem, but keep things in perspective. And then I want you to take that and I want you to burn it. Rip it to shreds. Put it through the shredder. I don't care. Destroy it. There's a couple of reasons why I want you to do this. One, there's when things say up here and they kind of swarm and they're what you're thinking of in the shower and when you go to bed and the toilet and, all the places where you're just perusing in your brain. They can be bigger than they really are because they're not concrete, but they're frequent. I hope that makes sense. So they can appear bigger when you think about it multiple times, but when you write it down and have to put it into a sentence, you actually kind of see that it's small. It's like itty bitty. It's not worth it, right? But getting it, for me, and what I like is kinetically putting it onto paper gets it out of the head, and it puts it somewhere else to where it can do whatever it needs to do over there. So I hope that made some sense. It's time to go. It's almost 3 o'clock. This has been Leslie Hassler with Your Biz Rules Business Coaching from the Carpool. If you have a topic you'd like me to say, be sure to leave it in the comments. I check all of those, as well as subscribe to this feed and share it with your friends, or if you know somebody that needs to hear this. That's all for today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.